ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM. I'm Zach Clark. This is the Zach Clark Show. Gladly taking those phone calls. 298-1490, 298-1490. That is the All Pro Plumbing studio line. You can check them out, allprorooterandplumbing.com. Great to be with you on this Monday afternoon. A bit of a choppy week here on the Zach Clark Show. Full show today, an hour on Tuesday and Wednesday from 3 to 4. Full show on Thursday, 3 to 5 on Friday. The Diamondbacks moving about the country. They'll be in Washington starting tomorrow, though I believe they're already there. And then on to Colorado, where they'll take on the Rockies. And we're going to talk about this past weekend Rockies series here in just a second. We've got a lot to get to today, and I want to start with a new segment, something I want to start with every day called 1, 2, 3. I'm going to tell you the 3 most important stories of the day, and then we'll jump into the show from there, and it'll branch out. So the things we talk about in 1, 2, 3 are things you're likely going to hear throughout the rest of the show, but I want to start with the most important things first. And I think the most important thing from yesterday was the NBA playoffs. I think that is where the biggest stories come. And the first one for me, the very first thing I thought yesterday across those 3 NBA playoff games, which was kind of funny because some of the games were in the first round, some of the games were in the second round. You had to kind of pay attention to what was going on there. But to me, and I am certainly not alone here, it is time for the Los Angeles Clippers to start over. They need to find a new identity, and they need to do that in either a new coach, which would also likely include a new general manager because I believe Doc Rivers is both. It would require them to change their roster, or they're going to have to do both of those things. And I tend to think that it is Stacey's favorite all of the above option, that it's more than just Doc Rivers. It's more than just the players. It's the combination of both of those things. You know, I have to wonder, Doc Rivers, if you look at his overall body of work as far as consistency and getting to the playoffs and winning games in the regular season, I mean, yeah. If you look at Doc Rivers' work as a player, very impressive. If you look at Doc Rivers' work in the postseason, aside from 1 year, and you can't take away the title run. You cannot take away the title run. But if you are to look at his body of work, save for that one season, what do you see? What do you see? Hey, they made the playoffs. Yeah, we got there. Yeah, they got there. What did they get? Eliminated. That's what they got. They got eliminated. And, you know, sometimes I think the talk of Doc and Austin Rivers is a little overblown, kind of like I'm sure it is with, or was with Steve and Bryce Alford. But at certain times, I watch these games and I think, like, what do you see? Is there something in your DNA that is wiring between the two of you, father and son, saying, keep me in, keep me in? Why? The judgment, and it's not just with Austin either. Sometimes the juxtaposition of the roster, the things the Clippers do in waning moments of games. It's time for them to start over. And I have to imagine a guy like Steve Ballmer, who is enthusiastic. Can I just start there? I mean, the guy is a nutcase in a good way, I guess, if you're a stockholder in his company. This can't be enough for him. This can't be enough for a guy that paid probably at the time at least double what they were worth, right? He wanted to be an NBA owner so badly. He wanted to be part of the club. He wanted an NBA franchise, and now he has one. And is he going to let it flounder? No way. He wanted this so badly. He wanted it for so long. I can't believe that just having it is enough. So number 1 in the NBA, it's time for the Clippers to start from scratch. And the other thing in the NBA, the truth. And not the actual truth, not the you can't handle the truth, but the 19-year career of Paul Pierce comes to an end. 19 seasons. And as you look across those 19 seasons, what an amazing journey. I mean, the guy starts off like Archie Manning, right? Great player, terrible team. Terrible. I used to feel sorry for Paul Pierce when he was in Boston. Legit, I felt sorry for Paul Pierce. It didn't seem fair that such a good player should be stuck on such a bad team. It was like me growing up watching Barry Sanders and the Lions. The Lions did not deserve Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders did not deserve the awfulness, the poor play up and down, the mismanagement. Barry Sanders didn't deserve that. And at the beginning, Paul Pierce didn't deserve that either. And then, Doc Rivers comes, the big three, the quote, original big three unites, and they win an NBA championship. And, I will say, in winning the championship, I lost a little respect for Paul Pierce. The ultimate, it is the greatest flop of all time. He had to be carried off the court, put in a wheelchair, and then, as if he was touched by Jesus himself, came sprinting back down the tunnel. Stacey, was it a minute? Did he miss a play?
I don't even think it was a game time. It definitely wasn't a minute.
No. I'm talking about real time.
Like actual real time.
Yeah, real time.
It was a joke. I think he's extremely overrated myself.
Well, I'll say this. In 19 seasons, you look at the 10-time All-Star and you say, yeah, okay. The NBA All-Star or any All-Star selection it's not worthy of too much conversation. But if you look at the points, if you at 26,000, if you look at Finals MVP, and if you look at just the career arc that he had, going from bad Boston to good Boston and then kind of bouncing around after that, I don't know. Guys like Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, I don't think you're ever going to see NBA players like that anymore that just for so long just leave it out there like that. I think those kind of guys are done. I'm not saying they're tougher. I'm not saying they're better. In this day's NBA, I just don't think you're going to see that anymore.
Okay. I guess I just look at him. He did have all those years in Boston where they were bad.
Yeah, nothing he could do. Nothing he could do about it, no matter how well he played.
He didn't help that situation, though, any.
Man, what do you want him to do?
Yeah, well,
I got to take exception to some of that.
No, I look at a guy like LeBron. He went to a Cavs team that was horrendous when he was drafted.
Yeah, and
he turned them into contenders.
Yeah, but until they improved the roster in Boston, he didn't win a championship either.
No, but in Cleveland, LeBron at least got a horrible roster to a finals.
I don't want to hear you doubting guys like Zydrunas Ilgauskas, one of the greatest Cleveland Cavaliers of all time.
Big Z has his number retired
because of LeBron James.
Yes.
You didn't finish it. You didn't finish your sentence there. Because of LeBron James. There should be.
So I guess that's what I'm saying.
Everybody's number should be number /23.
If you're wanting to put
era.
Paul Pierce, give him such high accolades, I don't get it because I don't think he did enough to warrant it.
I think you're going to see Paul Pierce first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think there's. And now again, the Basketball Hall of Fame is different than the other three because of the scope, but I don't see much question about that. I don't know. I tend to put more into longevity than maybe others do. I think being able to play 19 seasons at that level, and plus, how often do guys start out like Archie Manning and end so differently? Look at Archie Manning, look at Barry Sanders. Some guys just, even Dan Marino, to be able to get that championship. I don't know. I liked Paul Pierce when he was younger. I loved him at Kansas, one of my favorite college basketball players of all time. But yeah, once Boston became who they were, I lost interest because then it's not fun anymore. When you become status quo, when you get to the top of the heap, we like the rise, but not so much the standing at the top and lauding over.
And I will give you the fact, yes, he played a long time in the NBA.
19
which
seasons.
Is
really hard.
To make it to the league is extremely
difficult.
Yeah,
and then to sustain yourself for 2 decades
last
is
4
ridiculous.
or 5 years. Yeah, almost 2 decades. It's amazing.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying almost. I'm giving him 2 decades. He got close enough.
I think a lot of his numbers are just due to that fact.
But I don't take that. See, people always use that to talk poorly about somebody or to negate what they do. No way. I don't care if your numbers are high because you played for 45 seasons. If you could keep yourself employed in the league for that long, I don't care if your numbers on average are teeny tiny low. I don't care if you're Robert Horry. I don't care. I don't care if you're Ricky Henderson, probably still stealing bases somewhere in some intercontinental baseball league in Taiwan.
I guess my thing is, if you are that great, I would expect those numbers to be a little bit better than they are.
I never said you said that great. I never actually gave you I just said it was an impressive career. That great. I'm not. We can debate later his his long-standing, but when I look back at Paul Pierce's career today, after he retired yesterday, that's a good career. That's a great career. It's a great NBA career.
I don't know about great.
How many guys
it's
can
a
even
good?
19 seasons, 26,000 points, NBA Finals MVP. There are very few guys that can make that claim.
Whenever you start talking great, that's when you start talking about your Larry Birds, your Michael Jordans, your LeBron James.
No. Those guys are extraordinary. Those guys are on an even different plane than that. Their great does not do justice to a guy like Magic Johnson who started 5 positions in a rookie season in the NBA Finals. Mm-hmm. So I don't. When I say great, I'm not talking about that.
See, and that's where
no. I've got bigger, better words.
Comparing Paul Pierce to these kinds of guys.
I'm not. Okay. No, he's not.
And that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, well, I'm coming from the same spot you are. He's not. All right, that was number 1, NBA playoffs. Number 2, with the Arizona Diamondbacks, the mindset on Fernando Rodney. The mindset on Fernando Rodney has to be disposable. It has to be disposable. You're paying him a couple $1 million here. You brought him in to do one thing, and right now he's not doing it. You know, our good friend Jody Ayler tweeted the other day, if the Diamondbacks are going to compete at any level, they have to do better at the closing spot. Now, a lot of people are, this is Stacey and I said this the other day, after Shelby Miller's injury, when they said, Archie Bradley. Now I'm hearing the same thing going the other way. Right, and I understand why you want him to start. I understand why you want him to close, but because you're asking him to do both of those things, I want him to stay right where he is.
Oh, I agree.
Do not touch his role. He is perfect.
He is doing phenomenal where he is.
He can be short relief, long relief. You need him in the middle there, and if you take him out, who is going to do? That's the thing. If you say, like, J.J. Hoover should close, awesome. Give him a shot. Give J.J. Hoover a shot. But if you take Archie Bradley out of that middle long relief spot, who's going to do his job? And what we know about the Diamondbacks starting pitching, it does not go deep. It cannot get you into the length of the game that you would want them to. So I think you do not touch Archie Bradley. Mm-hmm. You leave him where he is. Because what do you do? Put Rodney there? I mean, good Lord.
But my gosh, you have to do something.
They got to do something.
Position.
Starting tomorrow. The next save opportunity, somebody else has to get the credit.
You should have a 2.5 game lead in this division.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes. Absolutely. And who would have thought that we would be asking for Brad Ziegler back? All right, that's number 2. We're gonna get to that in a little bit. And then lastly, the Combine. The NBA Combine invites are out. Raleigh Alkins is in. Kadeem Allen is in. Chance Comanche is out. No surprise on Comanche. We're going to get to them a little bit later. Raleigh, good for him, not for you, if you're an Arizona Wildcats fan. Though, again, I'm a firm believer in the more you know, the better everybody else is. The better everybody is. That's the school, the fans, the player, the NBA. The better choice you make. I mean, I saw a stat, I think 28 kids left early in the NFL or to go to the NFL and didn't get drafted. There were 28 early entrants that didn't get drafted. You think if they knew that was going to happen, you think if they had a little bit more time, would some of them have made the same choice? Yes. But would some of them have made a different choice? Yes. And then those kids would have a chance to come back and make a difference. So for Raleigh Alkins, if he leaves, you say, but at least he left with the most amount of knowledge that he could possibly have. And I got to say, for a guy like Kadeem Allen, this sounds silly to say because I'm not related to Kadeem Allen. I have nothing to do with anything positive or negative that Kadeem Allen has ever done. But when I hear things like Kadeem Allen is going to the Combine, I can't help but be a little proud. He has worked so hard. I mean, we're talking about the junior college player of the year. And, you know, a lot of times when those guys hit that mark and you say, oh, junior college, who cares? Well, college coaches care. And he had the forthright, the vision to understand that him sitting for a year, which would have been unthinkable for most kids in that spot, because somebody's going to say, another coach is going to say, you're going to sit. No, you come here and you play. I'm going to play you right now. He sits, he learns, he watches guys like TJ McConnell. That defense, do I think he's going to stick in the league? I don't. But could he play his way defensively onto a roster? Absolutely. And that's the thing. Get yourself out in front of eyes. Get yourself out where people can see you. Be the facilitator. TJ McConnell, I mean, think about it. I'm not saying that Kadeem Allen's going to have that same luck, but Stacey, if you remember, TJ McConnell got a last-minute invite because somebody canceled, right?
Yeah.
And look what he did with that. He parlayed that into now 2 seasons in the NBA. No, I'm not
And
saying
being a wanted player in the NBA.
I'm not saying Kadeem Allen's going to do the same thing, but he got an invite that didn't have to wait for somebody else to cancel. So he's got the same opportunity, if not maybe even a little bit better. Though the difference is the combine in the NBA highlights T.J. McConnell at his finest because it allowed him to facilitate, to distribute. I'm not sure it highlights Kadeem Allen in the exact same way, but still, anytime you get yourself out in front of all those eyeballs, all those decision makers, you're in the right spot.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it.
Obviously, at the JUCO level, Kadeem was a phenomenal
Number
scorer.
one.
Phenomenal.
30 points a game. You didn't even think about his defense at that level because he was scoring 30 a game.
But you look at what he did here at
Complete
Arizona.
player. Complete player.
And his ball handling skills improved quite a bit.
Everything about him got better.
Yeah,
his consistency.
Defense, he became the best on-ball defender.
All-conference defender. And I still think he had a legitimate shot at defender of the year in college. In the Pac-12.
So you look at those aspects, I think at the next level, he would have to improve his ball handling even more in his facilitating.
Yeah. Well, when we got to take a break, my big concern, Stacey, is I think at the next level he needs to be like 3 inches taller, and he's got the bulk. But it's not going to stop him.
Yep.
Just to make it harder. Jason Barr in studio next on ESPN Tucson 1490 and 1049 FM. I like that 1, 2, 3 thing. I like that. The 11th annual Stella Artois Iron Chef Tucson returns to the Westin La Paloma June 3rd. 2 new competitors will vie for the Iron Chef Tucson crown. You can vote for your favorite now or after you meet the chefs on Wednesday, May 3rd at the Rialto. That's sponsored by Rio Nuevo. For details, visit ESPNTucson.com. That's on Wednesday. I suggest you come on out. Again, more information can be found at ESPNTucson.com. One of the items in 1, 2, 3 today was the Diamondbacks and Fernando Rodney. We'll get to that here. You and I will in a few minutes. But now, joining us in studio, KGUN Sports Director Jason Barr. Jason, how are you, sir?
Good, Zach. How are you?
I'm doing well, and you and I will get to the Diamondbacks here in a second. But let's start with the Cardinals in the draft. Overall, on the whole, what did you make of their haul?
Yeah, I kind of like their draft. I think that they went with defense in the first couple rounds. They really needed to.
Yeah.
And they didn't take a quarterback just to take a quarterback.
No.
You know, if one wasn't there that they didn't like, or there was a player who they liked better, they didn't just, buy into the, we have to take a quarterback situation and do that.
I'm glad, Jason, they did that, because I was worried in the second or third round they may bite and take somebody like that, and they've been very good in the middle rounds, and I think one of the reasons is because they stayed away from that temptation.
Yeah, so you take a look at the first-round pick, Hassan Reddick, 22.5 tackles for a loss for Temple last year, and then Budda Baker in the second round, and it looked like that, Arians said that he wanted players who were 2 for 1, guys who could play multiple positions, so that was kind of a theme early on.
Right.
And later in the draft was the offensive lineman.
Well, and that's the thing. We've seen them look at those flexible kind of guys like Deion Buchanan to have a more versatile defense, and I think that they're hoping Reddick can be one of those guys. And you mentioned the middle rounds, Jason. Wildcat fans should recognize their third-round pick in Grambling's Chad Williams. He played very well against Arizona here in the desert. How much do you think his performance against Arizona factored into the Cardinals taking him? I mean, you look at him, Jason. I mean, he certainly looks the part.
Steve Keim said it did. Yeah, we certainly had video of him in the KGUN 9 Sports office for that performance. I think 13 catches, 100-something yards against the Wildcats in that week. Definitely did better when Juan Kincaid was the quarterback.
Yeah, and who knows if he'd have stayed in that game, what would have happened?
I think Grambling might have won that game.
They might have.
Really big, led the SWAC in all the categories that matter. Had an off-the-field issue. Was found with a loaded pistol, a loaded handgun, and an unloaded assault rifle, at LSU before the season. It just only happened to be on the LSU campus, but it happened before the season.
Right.
I don't think he's had an incident since. So there was that. But one of the things the Cardinals said is if a player does play at a smaller school, they want him to dominate. And Chad Williams did that.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, he looks the part. And, the Cardinals have been very good in those middle round picks. But as we go back to the first pick, you mentioned Hassan Reddick was out of Temple. Bruce Arians back in the late 80s was the head coach at Temple. Do you think there was any affectation there? I have to wonder. When you think of football, I don't go right to the MAC, but you look at Reddick, his tape is very impressive.
Yeah, so Bruce Arians coached at Temple in the 80s, and sure enough, this is where Hassan Reddick came from this past year. Now, was there a little bit of sentiment from Bruce Arians? Probably, but I think that Arians, as much as he liked the fact that the player came from Temple, I think more liked his story in the sense that here was a guy who was not recruited out of high school,
right? Had
a situation where he had to walk on, didn't get a scholarship till junior year, and then was a dominating player his senior year with the 9.5 tackles and the 22.5 tackles for loss.
Well, yeah, and they come in with that same kind of work ethic, that same kind of mentality that has served the Cardinals well. I mean, certainly last season at 7-8-1 wasn't what they would have wanted. But in the 3 years before that, the Cardinals had kind of leveraged that blue-collar mentality, and it seems like Hassan Reddick fits that mold a little bit, and I think that's what served the Cardinals well as they draft not only on skill but on mindset.
And they lost Kevin Minter, too, in the offseason, so they needed somebody to step in and take that role a little bit. And also, the defense wasn't as good in 17.
No question.
Games, 30 or more points in several games that they didn't do that in 16.
Jason Barr with us in studio. As you mentioned, no quarterback taken. And I'm okay with it if they couldn't get the one they wanted early on, and certainly things changed right in front of them in the first round. But they have to do something, Jason. You can't bet long-term on Carson Palmer. What do they do going forward?
Yeah, but you can get a quarterback when you need one. Nobody ever takes that into consideration. The Cardinals needed a quarterback. They went and got Carson Palmer.
Sure.
Next year, there's going to be a quarterback or two that's available that you can't think of right now, whether it's somebody who has a falling out with his team or was hurt. like a falling out with a team like a Jay Cutler had when he was
Sure.
in Denver. Somebody who was hurt like a Peyton Manning.
Or like a Mike Glennon who gets beat out by Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. I think Mike Glennon's a heck of a quarterback. I think he can do really well. So I don't think you have to get one from the draft. And, we all think about the Dak Prescotts and the Tom Brady's, but
No,
the
those are hard to
overwhelming
find.
majority of those guys, it just doesn't work
Well,
out.
yeah, I mean, look, they drafted Logan Thomas, and he didn't end up being Tom Brady or Dak Prescott. So, I mean,
Matt Barkley, who I think can play. There's a bunch of those guys in the later rounds. So
well, yeah, I mean, and sometimes it works out. I mean, you have Matt Leinart right off the bat, who was a great quarterback in college, and then he ends up doing nothing at the next level. Let's switch gears, Jason.
yeah. By the way, if Arians is allowed a pick from Temple, I would like a pick from another guy from Philadelphia. The University of Pennsylvania had a quarterback who broke every Penn passing record. His name was Alec Torgerson, I believe. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna say his
yeah.
last name wrong.
Yeah.
And he's going to be with an undrafted free agent with somebody. But I mean, you could find somebody as an undrafted free agent. You don't have to get them in the 4th, 5th, or 6th round. But my point being is, you can find a guy next year when you need one, assuming this is going to be Carson Palmer's last year.
And I think that is the Cardinals' MO going forward. And Jason, as we switch gears, going to the Diamondbacks, you told me earlier the Diamondbacks shouldn't overreact to Fernando Rodney, and I agree with that. Anytime, I grew up in Michigan, overcorrecting on the snow got you into some trouble. But one of the things that I believe is they can't leave things as is right now because there's a problem.
You can make a case that, he's only blown 2 saves and he's 6 out of 8.
Yeah, but it's 8 runs, though, in the last 2 games.
Do the eye test.
Yeah.
Do the ERA.
It's not right.
He's 40 years old.
Almost 41, yeah.
You got to have some concerns there. You do.
I mean, his ERA is over 12.
The best arm in the bullpen is Hoover. Does that mean you automatically make him the closer?
No.
There's always the bullpen by committee. What I would have liked to seen yesterday is Jorge De La Rosa came in the 8th inning, I believe, and was absolutely throwing gas. He had great stuff. Well, throw the 9th inning there.
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
If somebody looks that good in the 8th,
Yeah.
we'll pitch him in the 9th.
Especially when you know what's coming behind you, which hasn't been very good at all.
Yeah, take a look at who's pitching right. Who's in front of you right now and how they're performing. And I would have left him in for another inning. Lavella put himself in a little bit of a bind yesterday in the sense that after Delgado was like, where are they going to go to?
Yeah.
You would have maybe had to go to Godley on short rest or somebody.
Well, you see what was it the Yankees yesterday used a position player to pitch 2 separate times in the same game. You don't want to end up in a spot like that.
And Delgado had to hit. He almost got a base hit, but I would have left De La Rosa in for another inning. The way he was pitching and with an off day tomorrow, I would have thrown him another inning there.
Yeah, and so going forward, Jason, what do you do? I mean, I like the idea of at least giving J.J. Hoover a shot. My one concern, and I mentioned it earlier, is that I don't want them to move Archie Bradley from where he is right now. I think in long relief he's too valuable. That's just me.
And he could be a potential starter still, But if he's got the stuff and he's got the mindset and he can be a really good closer, well, he can be really valuable as a closer.
Sure.
And you can
Sure.
find somebody else for that long relief role. So the closer position is more important than the long relief. So I understand, you don't want to take him away, but if he is the answer, don't not put him in that role.
That's fair.
Because he's a
That's
long
fair.
reliever.
That's fair. I wonder if you put. I guess my thought is, do you take a guy like J.J. Hoover, who I feel like is a better fit at a closer than somebody else would be at the long relief? Does it make more sense to me? But I totally agree with you, Jason, that if your best option is Archie Bradley, then you have to explore it. But I would look otherwhere.
Plus,
first.
you take J.J. Hoover and make him the closer. Well, you just lost your best setup man. And a guy who comes in the late innings there with the game tied yesterday.
Right.
So any way you shake it, it's going to affect the bullpen one way or the other. Ideally, Fernando Rodney would pitch like a closer, but he just doesn't look like it.
Well, and I'll be very curious to see how the Diamondbacks with their new front office and new management, how they handle this situation. Because in the past, I would have very little confidence that they'd get it right. But now, with the new staff, we'll see what happens. Jason, what did you make of the Diamondbacks lineup yesterday?
I didn't like it. I mean, to rest 3 guys, 3 of your star players on a Sunday. First off, the team is struggling with fans. Okay. Second of all, you have a day off today, and you got to win games. To not have in the starting lineup Pollock and Owings and Yasmani Tomas, come on. Okay, maybe if one guy maybe needs a rest, okay. But all 3 of those guys, I mean, come on, you got to win games. You got to keep the momentum going, and you've got an off day today. You can't sit 3 guys like that and not score any runs.
Yeah,
I think once in a while, Lavella makes a little bit of a rookie mistake, and he's a rookie manager, and I don't think you can sit 3 guys like that on a Sunday.
I think the biggest point there, certainly the on-field stuff matters, but I mean, Jason, you mentioned the attendance issue. I mean, they had like 12,000 people at their game the other day. I think it was last Thursday. I mean,
AJ Pollock is a popular player. You take a father son or whoever to the ballpark, and Pollock's not in the lineup. That's got to be disappointing.
Second best player, I would argue, right behind Paul Goldschmidt.
And he came in, he got 2 hits.
Yeah, so why not start him? And I agree. Look, if you didn't have Monday off, if you had to be in Washington today, let's have a different conversation.
Or if the guy really looks like he desperatly needs a day off.
But all three of them,
I mean, he was in that game fired up. He didn't look like he needed a day off. Partly because of the terrible call.
Oh, you're right.
by an umpire that an umpire made, but he was pretty fired up yesterday.
KGUN 9 Sports Director Jason Barr can be found 6 and 10 Monday through Friday, holding down the KGUN 9 On Your Side Sports Desk. Jason, thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
We'll talk more Diamondbacks. Fernando Rodney, closer spot next on ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM. Corona and Hotel Rocky Point want to send you to the beach in beautiful Puerto Penasco, Mexico. All you have to do is go to espntucson.com/Cinco. That's espntucson.com/Cinco to register to win. You can also listen to this fine radio program right here on our ESPN Tucson Facebook page for a chance to win Corona prize pack. Stacy, we're going to get to that here shortly. We have picked another incredibly complicated and very clever phrase to give away this prize pack today.
In case you guys haven't realized it yet, Zach and I are not fluent in Spanish.
Whoa, no, hold on. Let's not blame this on ourselves, Stacey.
No. I'm just saying we're not fluent in Spanish.
Oh, no. God,
we don't expect you to be fluent in Spanish.
Oh, I'm just treating everybody like morons because of the Final Four trivia still.
So we're trying to make this as easy as possible. If we can translate it, you can translate it.
So when you see the phrase, which is not on our Facebook page on the video right now, you'll see it on the video. I'll hold up a little sign. What you'll do, you'll call our friend Charles at 298-1490 on the All-Pro Plumbing Studio line. You'll give him the phrase in English. We'll show it to you in Spanish. You'll spit it out in English.
So we'll be doing that here shortly.
Before 6 o'clock.
So you might want to go to Facebook, just like our page.
Yeah, so you don't forget.
And you get the alert and pay attention.
Great idea. And plus, then you can watch the show wherever you are, whether you're in Tucson or not. Friday is Cinco de Mayo, so right around the corner there. We're talking Arizona Diamondbacks baseball. We're talking closers. We're talking Fernando Rodney. But first, I want to talk to you, 298-1490, All-Pro Plumbing Studio line. Lance, how are you, sir?
Hey, Zach, I'm a little under the weather today. How are you guys doing?
Well, I'm sorry you're not feeling well, Lance. We're probably doing just a little bit better. Thanks for the phone call.
That's good. So first, I love the NFL draft, but it gets in the way of baseball talk, and there's so many things I've wanted to ask you about since Wednesday, but you guys are all football, which is fine. It's great, but I still love baseball a lot. So let's get right to it. Fernando Rodney, why? Okay, so I get your stance on Archie Bradley, why, he's good as a long reliever, maybe bring him in as a spot starter, leaving him there those longer. I get that, and it makes sense. I'd like him to be a starter, but I don't disagree with you. It makes a lot of sense. I just want to be a starter for my own selfish reasons. You know how it goes.
Sure.
But why I don't understand is 2 consecutive times in a row, that Padres game and the Rockies game on Saturday, did they take Archie Bradley out and not let him finish the game? Because as we all saw, or those of us who watched the game at least, Fernando Rodney just let it get out of him. Both those games they were winning. Archie Bradley could have stayed in for the save, and they took him out for a reason I can't understand. When he was hot as all get up, I don't understand why you don't leave a guy like that in there.
Well, and Lance, here's the thing, and thank you for the phone call. I don't have an answer for that question as to why Lovello wants to go away from Bradley when he does, because I agree the last couple of times, certainly Friday and Saturday, you think to yourself, what am I switching? When you switch a pitcher for a starter to a reliever, from a reliever to a closer, every time you're hoping to improve your situation. And when you go away from a guy like Archie Bradley, who's been pitching pretty well, and you go to a guy like Fernando Rodney, who is not, I can't answer that question, Lance. But here's the thing. Is he thinking about preservation of Archie Bradley's arm long term? Because I think when he looks at Archie Bradley and when he looks at Fernando Rodney, he sees in Bradley, I'm going to have to get a lot more mileage out of you. I'm going to need to get a lot more out of you throughout this season, so I don't want to overuse you, because they've used him a lot. And I think rightfully so, because he's been the man for the job. And then I also wonder, because with pitchers, especially, I wish Shelley Duncan was here, because pitchers are so dang fragile, right? Like you don't want to throw off Fernando Rodney's mojo. Got to keep his head in the right spot. And I think a lot of times, to preserve mentality, to instill confidence, managers do things like that where they make a choice that's, I don't know. But they do it in the hope that it not only, one, it pans out, kind of a hope and a prayer thing, but also I think that they think, well, even if he blows it, I don't want him to think that he's not the guy. And the funny thing is, Lance, thanks for the phone call. The funny thing is, people say, oh, millennials, oh, these young kids, these recruits, yeah, they're so soft. Fernando Rodney's 41 years old. We're talking about the mental makeup of an adult. All of these guys are adults. Oh, yeah, but those millennials, man, they're weak. Uh-huh. Sure they are. Somebody said that ERA doesn't matter in a closer. He who shall not be named, Bob Brenly. Oh, I didn't do that right. That's okay. I said ERA doesn't matter. And, I think what he was trying to say, though I'm not going to put words in his mouth, is that you can't get too caught up in the ERA sometimes because with relievers, they get put in sticky situations. And sometimes it's like you get put in this awful spot, and sure, the runners don't go to you right off the bat, right at the bases are loaded, and you give up a home run. You only get one of those, right? The other runners are belonging to whoever put them there previously. But sometimes I agree that you can look the other way when it comes to pitching ERA, especially in relievers and closers. But here's what I can't do. When your closer, oh, yeah, he's 6 of 8. Yeah, 6 of 8. Yeah, with a 12.6 ERA. In his last 2 appearances, 8 runs. 8. All of them earned. He's given up 10% of the Diamondbacks' runs this season. You say, Zach, well, that's not that bad. Yes, it is. That's terrible. And here's the thing. The dude just turned 40. I thought he was going to be 41, but I guess he was going to be 40, and now he is. You look at him and you say, okay, maybe this will get better. Will it? Because remember, he had kind of a split season last year. First half, very good. Second half, not so much. This feels like just a continuation or a progression of where Fernando Rodney's career is going. And he's had a pretty good career, but he doesn't seem to be a reliable option anymore. If you're Terry Lovello, you cannot. Stacey, if they find themselves in a safe situation on Tuesday, they cannot put him out there. They can't do it.
The problem is who do you put out there? I
don't care. Tried out J.J. Hoover. You had a rest. Everybody should be relatively reset as far as arm strength is concerned. Try J.J. Hoover first. You got to try something. What are you going to do? He goes out there and gives up 2-3 more runs. Now he's good for 10 or more in the last 3 games. He'll never be able to pitch again if this keeps up.
Well, and look at the teams. You're going to be facing these Rockies again.
Yeah.
After you get through this series with the Nationals.
Best team in baseball right now.
Oh, yeah. By the way, they're
it's not even
killing it. How many runs did they score yesterday?
Well, it's not even – were they the ones that beat the Mets like 23-5?
Yeah.
Well, it's not even – and the scary thing about the Nationals, it's not just guys like Bryce Harper. It's guys like Zimmerman, and you're like, who are you? What is this? Look at this lineup. Daniel Murphy. I mean, yeah, so you're going to find yourself against a scorching offense, just a well-rounded, talented baseball team. You're going to be on the road. Here's the thing. I am going to begin to lose confidence in Lovello if he keeps doing that. No question. Because if I'm thinking, well, you're throwing Rodney out there, that must mean you think you have nobody better behind you. And then my next question is, why? Why? And
why aren't you doing something about it?
Like, what are you doing about it? And it's not all his fault. Some of these are general manager decisions, right? I mean, I would have liked to have seen them go after Brad Ziegler in the offseason, get him back. They didn't do that. Now he's in Miami. I'd take that right now.
Well, and I guess, do you literally have nothing in your farm system you could bring up? I mean, I know there's not a lot down there right now, but there's got to be somebody that can do better than this.
Well, that's the thing. Stacey, we talk, well, you should have something in the farm. Yeah, except for, there was an Irish potato famine thanks to the front office over the last 10 years. How many first-round draft picks are left in the system? I don't know. We traded them all away. What happened to them? Oh, they're stars other places now. Maybe not stars per se, but good Lord. Good Lord. They got to try something else because, Stacey, we've asked very simple things. We've asked them to be competitive. Go out there and compete. And as the season started, I thought, hey, that is exactly what we're seeing. But if they can't fix this, they'll only compete to a point, and then it'll just melt down on more occasions than it should.
And that's the thing. Yes, so far they have competed. They've done more than compete. They've done very well.
What are they a half game back now?
After
winning yesterday?
Half game back.
And they should have won on Saturday, to your point.
And Friday.
Well,
I mean, it's a.
Just give me the. But I mean, certainly.
Okay, win the series. You're at least a game and a half up.
That's what I'm giving them a pass on one of those. Look, I'm not asking you to sweep the Rockies, but 2 out of 3 was something that they could have done and should have done. There's no excuse not to, except for Fernando Rodney.
And especially looking at what you're coming up with the Nationals, facing these Rockies. You
don't want to go on a slide. You don't want to go on a slide here because we've seen them do this.
So
it's May now.
It's a situation. And listen, you got off to a good start here. We've adjusted our expectations for you.
Yes.
I expect you to compete now.
Well, and I think people say, well, look back at the beginning of the season. You would not have thought this would happen. And I say, yes,
No.
you're right. But here's my concern. Why is it a bad thing to adjust your expectations when given more information? People say to me, oh, Zach, you've changed. You didn't used to think that. Yeah, you're right. Because I took information that was given to me, and my opinion changed because things are changing. You got to evolve. You got to move forward. The more you know, the more you learn, the better the choices you will make.
Okay, you look back at the beginning of the season. A lot of people were picking the Giants to win this division.
The Giants
maybe represent the NL in the World Series.
I don't think the Giants are not a playoff team right now.
They're 9-17 right now,
and they're showing no signs of becoming any better anytime soon.
So yeah, you
I
adjust
take
your
them out of the
expectations on
Yeah.
what you've seen now.
If I'm looking at the division race now, I know it's May 1st, but I'm not even looking at the San Francisco Giants. They're not in the picture. Could they be eventually? They're only 8 games out. It's only May 1st. But, yeah, you're right. I'm going to adjust my expectations on the Diamondbacks. And if they don't adjust, Stacy, I will readjust my expectations and put them back to where they were maybe 6 months ago. Because if they can't figure this out, they're going to lose far more games than they should. There's no excuse for the way this weekend turned out other than our closer isn't very good. He was worth it. He's making like $2.75 million. He's 40 years old. He's on the market. But again, you got to think about it as disposable. He's disposable. You got to be able to throw him away.
And I could understand if this was like a single game where he gave up 3 runs.
No, he gave up 8 runs in 2 games.
8 runs, and it's not just those 2 games. He's given up runs in previous games as well.
His ERA is over 12.
Yeah.
Stacey, if he was a kicker, if this was the NFL, he would be cut.
Oh,
he would be cut.
Yeah.
We're not having this conversation. Let's talk Arizona basketball next year on ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM. ESPN Tucson 1490 and 1049 FM. Stacy, Cinco de Mayo is on Friday.
This Friday.
So if you're thinking to yourself, think Cinco de Mayo puts me in the mood. Like I'm feeling like I want a Corona and the beach. So
That sounds lovely.
yeah, but Stacy, we can help the people with that. I can help you with that. All you have to do is go to espntucson.com/Cinco, espntucson.com/CINCO, and you can register to win a beautiful vacation at Hotel Rocky Point in Puerto Peñasco, Mexico.
Yeah.
And you can enjoy lovely Coronas on the beach. Thanks to give away some swag here in a little bit. So, I mean, you can't
Yeah,
lose.
so it's multiple people will be winning this. You're getting a 3-day, 2-night stay at beautiful Hotel Rocky Point.
And we posted
With-
pictures. They're amazing.
It's gorgeous.
It's amazing.
Corona has been more than gracious to help put this together with
I
us.
have a prize pack right here behind me.
And so those that don't win the trip, you
Yeah.
can tune into our Facebook page, like us, so you know whenever we're doing this.
So here's what you do. You watch us on Facebook so you can win the Corona prize pack. And then you go to espntucson.com/Cinco. You could take your Corona prize pack to the beach. Or you could take it to your next pool party. You can take it anywhere you want.
Which it is pool season now.
That's right. So espntucson.com/Cinco to register to win that trip. And then later on today, we'll give away one of those prize packs.
Okay.
Cool. Very good. We will talk NBA playoffs, top of the 4 o'clock hour. Adam Green joins us at 4:22. We'll talk Cardinals draft with him. I also want to talk about Trey Griffey. I've always have been a fan. I like watching him play. I didn't think he got a fair shake. And this is not his fault at all, and I'm not critical of him, but he's become a very predictable story. In fact, he's on the front page of ESPN.com right now. But, of course, it has nothing to do with football, because why would it? It's like Marshawn Lynch said, to borrow a phrase, I'm all about them clicks, boss. That's what it's about. Let's talk Arizona Wildcats basketball. Is Kadeem Allen, as he lands a spot, and, I got to imagine the way he played in Portsmouth, where the seniors go in the Invitational, the way he played there has done a huge part in putting him into the NBA Combine. 70 invites go out, and they do it kind of in a nomination type where NBA teams say, here's who we want, and they add up the requests, and then they process there. So Kadeem Allen is in, Raleigh Alkins is in, Chance Comanche is out. I believe I didn't see Kobe Simmons on there either, so here's the thing. When you don't get a Combine invite, it's just, it doesn't doom you. It doesn't doom you. But at the same time, it's really hard to showcase yourself. And excuse me, Kobe Simmons was in. I don't know why I thought that he wasn't. So for Chance Comanche being the sole Wildcat out, my thought would be, young man, come back to school. And if he doesn't, I wouldn't criticize the choice. He can do whatever he wants. But I would assume it was mostly because he didn't want to go to school. And that's not a criticism either. If I didn't have to go to college, somebody could pay me 30, 40, 50 grand or 100 grand or $1 million and say, hey, no more college. I'd say, cool, where do I sign? I'm leaving now. Do I just leave my stuff here? Yeah, you'll clean it up? Okay, see you later. I'm gone. Can guys like Raleigh and Kobe, can they show their upside? And you can't really show your upside per se, but can you show the upside that is there? Can you show your potential? And I wonder for Kadeem, what does he need to do? He's going to have a great opportunity to show himself in front of the top executives in the league. His versatility, his fearlessness on defense. We talk about a guy like Derek Williams, and it's hard to compare Kadeem Allen and Derek Williams. They're so different. But Derek Williams was a tweener. He didn't really have a position. No country for old men. And I really think people say, oh, yeah, well, Derek Williams, there's no way. He just needs to find his fit. Hey, guess what? It doesn't exist. There is no good fit for him. I'm not saying that his NBA career has been a total bust. It hasn't been what he wanted, but, boy, he made some money doing it. But can Kadeem Allen avoid that same predicament? So 3 of the 4 Wildcats that want the next level are going to get a shot at the Combine. We'll talk NBA playoffs. We'll talk that next level next year on ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM.